All right, we're live. It's Jay here at the Rock Trading Podcast, checking in on a Thursday evening. I'm here with my man Rock.
What's
Okay,
going
John.
on, guys?
Hello and welcome. We're going to talk about a little bit what happened today in the market. So if you just give me 1 second here. So, exciting afternoon. The great bull run of late April 2022 lasted about 6 hours. I was all in. I was ready to go. I decided that I wanted to have a hot take, and you know what? I had fun with it. It was just a lotto. It was fun. But hey, I was on the wrong side of it. You guys did really well today, I thought, and that's what I get for going against you guys. I was going to say, I think Bio, Zeus, and the guys are probably in Cancun on the beach now enjoying their winnings, right?
Yeah.
That's why they're not here tonight.
It's a crazy market today, obviously. So let's just kind of recap what happened. So Apple, as you know, Apple earnings, they beat both earnings per share and revenue. Unfortunately, their guidance call or their conference call did not go as well for Mr. Cook. So market actually did not like it at all because they were not able to give guidance, but they did say that they would possibly take an $8 billion hit at some point in the next quarter due to supply constraints. On that news, Apple tanked down almost 4%, 5% down to 153 held. And now we're back at the 160 level. So this should be interesting tomorrow. So, I mean, from a fundamental perspective, Apple didn't do bad at all, right? I mean, they're still making a ton of money. I mean, everybody's got an iPhone.
Except for me.
Right? And MacBooks, et cetera. They don't have an issue with demand. Their products are still in a very much high demand. It's just that the market did not like the fact that, hey, they're going to get a drawdown on revenue over the next quarter, and they're issuing some type of warning. And the same thing with Amazon. If we look at Amazon's, go to Amazon. I mean, they inflation cost them over $2 billion. They reported negative EPS. I think that's the first negative EPS in over a decade. I don't know the statistics, wow, but that's what I read online. It's the first negative EPS in over a decade for Amazon. So they're taking loads of nearly 2,500. That's funny thing is, I don't know if you guys paid attention, but I did 2,500 puts today. Right before the market reversed. And when it reversed, I took a hit on it. I was like, wow, what the heck is going on with my puts here? And turns out that it would actually print pretty nicely tomorrow.
Yeah, it certainly will. And I wonder, I just got home actually myself. I wanted to see what the Amazon EPS was without the Rivian loss.
I don't know. They took a $30 billion hit.
Yeah. And, I wonder if that's the difference. I mean, really, I wonder if, I wonder how the market's going to open up tomorrow after these earnings. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah, well, I mean, from what happened today was just incredible. I mean, we were writing puts. I was happy with my puts all the way down back to 318. I knew that rug pull was going to come with the hot pre-market that we had. And then it just tanked all the way back. I'm looking at the 5-minute chart here. So it tanked all the way down, and it started to reverse right about 9 o'clock Eastern or 9 o'clock Pacific this morning, and it just went on this 2-3 hour run. You guys can see these 5-minute candles. So right about when it started to cross the moving average 200 on the 5-minute chart, this is one of my leading indicators that I use, is that you notice that when the Q is below the moving average 200 on 5-minute, it generally downtrends, okay, unless it gets a little bit choppy. But then once the volume comes in, you can see volume start to increase right after 9 a.m. Pacific. I knew that it was a good opportunity. I waited a few candles just to make sure that I'm not going to get faked out on a call. So I figured, okay, well, let's look left. Let's see where this can really go. And we noticed that the pre-market high was 325.06 or 325-ish. So I started to buy calls right around this candlestick here. I bought 325 calls, figured it might just go to 325 and call it a day. But this thing did about 130 something percent for me, this little run right here on Friday's call. So I sold most of it around this area here, and I held some just to see what Amazon would do and how Apple would do and how the markets responded. So obviously, obviously it tanked, right? So I got rid of them right 10 minutes after the bell, figuring that okay, Amazon's dead in the water.
Yeah, definitely.
Overall, great day for great week overall in trading. I mean, a lot of folks who are new to our group, they're making $400 or $500 extra per day. That's huge. You know what I mean? I mean, if you could just get away with a few $100 a day in the market, even if you're a beginner trader, this is excellent start, and that's what our community provides.
Hell yeah, and it's beautiful to see. And the wonderful thing, people get confused a little bit when they see the VIX up, and why some people get excited. It really supplies some excellent scalping opportunities across the market, because we're up and down about four times in one day. And if you learn how to make money both ways, which a lot of people here have been doing, you'll have a lot of success.
Absolutely.
So I want to move on from here. Like, the real question is now, a lot of the tech giants have reported now.
Yes.
Now we're staring down the barrel of this FOMC meeting coming up. I think it's next week.
Yes.
Where do we go from here? Like, we're really, I mean, a lot of signals are crossed right now. I think people are a little bit confused.
Yeah, so FOMC meets May 3rd and 4th. I do believe they release some type of they'll have a press conference afterwards. I think it might be on the 5th, if I'm correct. So the market is obviously going to get over this whole tech earnings week. Now, you do still have some earnings next week. There's the chips, semiconductors starts reporting next week. AMD starts reporting. I believe NVIDIA could be next week, if I'm not mistaken. But you also got a few other smaller tech companies like Square Block or Block Inc. That's going to be reporting as well. There's still quite a bit out there for next week. The sentiment going, at least my sentiment, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know what the market feels, is that obviously it's bearish, right? The futures already, NQ1's already down 200 points here in the after hours in the futures trading. So I would only say one thing, right? I mean, obviously there's a how do I say this? Being a bear is probably the best thing you could do right now, right? And to play the levels, right? Or to play the charts. But I would exercise caution on being a bear right now, is that you're shorting the bottom of the market, okay? Mm-hmm. Or near bottom for the time being, okay? There aren't a lot of macroeconomic events happening that is going to pump this market up, unless the Fed say, okay, we're just going to roll back the rate hikes, and we're just going to we're going to start with a simple 25 BPS starting in May, okay? Or they keep it the same versus doing 50, okay?
Yeah.
And that's what the market is expecting. They're going to have to roll out the 50 BPS or 75. 75 would obviously put us in recession and induce recession. But if they do 25, I think you'll see the market pump up again. And if that's the consensus going into tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, then you're going to see weird movements like you did today.
Yeah.
Right. Where the sentiment changes so drastically, right? Where the Q can jump 10 points, 11 points on you in a 3-hour time span, which was insane. And part of the reason why we had this huge run up today was because the market somehow started to expect, or suspect that, hey, what if Amazon beats? What if Apple just tears it up? And so the market just absolutely went nuts over in tech. So Nasdaq was down; it was red at one point, and it jumped nearly 400 points to close out the day. So it's insane. So if you're a bear, that's great. I think you'll make money, but be very cautious, because once that sentiment changes, your shorts, or you better cover, or your shorts, cover your shorts, right? Your puts is going to die, going to burn real quick, and that's what the market can do to you. But if you're a bull, I think there is still, I guess, a glimmer of hope for you. If you're a bull, if you're absolutely convinced that this is near the bottom of the market. Now, I would only say this, right? From a chart perspective, on this daily chart Q, we hit one low, two lows. So this was 318, 317, and we hit 315 yesterday. So obviously, we're still very much in a downtrend. If you're more of a technical trader, watch the 2-hour chart on the Qs, okay? and we could talk about these EMAs, but you can see that the EMA started to reject the Q right about EMA 50 this afternoon. Okay.
Yep.
And you have a toppy candle, kind of a shooting star candle on the upside, right above the moving average EMA 50 on the 2-hour chart. So if you're saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to be a bear tomorrow, okay, well, let the market pump into this EMA 3450 cloud if there's going to be a pump tomorrow. If it fails here, then buy puts. If there's any strength in the market, it will blow past this 326 area for Q. But if it doesn't, then this is the perfect loading zones to start buying puts. I'm personally going to buy 300 puts myself. But then so right now we're at 323. Okay, it's near the EMA 9 and 15 on a 2-hour. If tomorrow it starts breaking down this EMA, then yeah, your safest bet is to buy the puts. But be careful. If it start coming down at 315, you need to start closing, because this is where bulls or buyers might start jumping in the market.
All right. Well, let me throw this right at you. Jump right into it. I guess I'll ask you two questions. One, have we bottomed yet? Have we bottomed yet? Do you think? Are you unsure? Like, how do you feel about that? And do you think there's like a good possibility we go below 300?
It's so hard to say, but I am definitely leaning that it's going to go SPY and Q, or SPY is going to hit below 400 and Q is going to hit below 300 for 85-95% confident. If I look at the weekly chart, we're already trending well below all the EMAs effectively in January. Okay. Now it's just kind of, bounces here and there. But this weekly volume shelf is an area to watch out for. And this is where the bulls are holding on, right? You can see that it's hit this volume shelf about the 320 down to about 312, 315, sorry. This is where bull starts to come in. The buyer starts to come in for value. Okay. So you have a volume shelf here. Now, if the bulls do give up, they're going to start giving up under 315, and you have a volume gap down to 281. Okay. Which also coincides with almost I think it's a 0.786 or 0.618 retracement on the weekly. So I can't say confidently at all that we're at the bottom, but I think there will be a little bit more blood before it starts reversing. Now, I would, I can't imagine the market coming down here, but every time you think to yourself, hey, this can't get any worse.
It does. Yeah, it usually does.
Yeah.
Oh, we were certainly, it was tense out there today. I was sitting here watching the charts, and I was really nervous. I was biting my fingernails, and I was just dying to know what was going to happen. And now, I'm just going to take a quick peek just while we're in this. I want to see what Amazon is doing, just out of curiosity. It looks like 26.32, so it's still elevated up there. Pretty cool. All right, we'll see what happens with that. But getting back to the podcast specifically. Now, we've been talking about certain short squeeze potential stocks. Where does this earnings result leave something like, Ader right now, Atarian? Where do we stand with that potential short squeeze?
Well, the shorts are still piled into the stock, and so they keep wanting to short it down. But you can see significant. Obviously the volume is dying out, and this is where people start to get impatient, right? But you're starting to see a kind of a bull flag forming here. This signals to me a bullish squeeze alert here. You can see 3 consecutive candles were lower highs and 2 days of lower lows, but also closing very, very closely to in terms of the candle body goes.
Yeah.
It starts to get smaller and smaller. And if there's not a big sell-off tomorrow, depending on market goes, you're going to see a heavy consolidation at 5. And we've been hanging out at $5 for, good Lord, for last 48 hours. So if it stays within this range, volume will come. People will pick this off the scanners. If you look at this from if you want to talk about bull flags, right? You have a bull flag there, and you have kind of there was a bull flag here, and then here, and so on. And so this is kind of starting to happen once again for Ader. Now, the shorts are just absolutely, like I said, piled into the stock, but this is due for a breakout.
Hell yeah. It looks awesome. I love how tight it is right now in the chart. I think it has a ton of potential. You might goof on me a little bit. I made that article today about how Ethereum was looking like it could be hours away from a squeeze, and you know what? It could be hours. You know what? Hours is subjective how long it can be. So we'll see if that happens. But
it could be days as long as it holds its trend, as long as it consolidates and holds its trend. Buyers will come in for this and see the squeeze. And obviously, shorts aren't covering; they're not returning shares. And you have this guy on Twitter that professes he's never going to stop shorting the stock down to 50 cents. So, good luck to him.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that guy. He couldn't be more random dude. He's just out there telling everybody how much money he loses shorting the stock every day. Anyway, yeah. So any bargain names that you like out there right now? Anything for earnings that remains that, if you have a name or two maybe that you're targeting for early next week, mid next week?
So this is a good time to play the earnings run up for AMD, I think. Okay, so from a chart perspective, obviously not looking good at all. I mean, it's coming back down a double bottom here at $84 today, back to July 20th, 2021 levels before the big run up over to 165. So, I'm going to probably lean a little bit more bearish on AMD only because of the fact that the supply issue is going to hurt the stock, right? It's pretty pronounced that across this whole entire industry, right? Even TSM or NVIDIA is going to have this issue unless they surprise. But I don't see these chip stocks, doing some crazy moves, but it could be a little bit more on the downside. There's SQ that I'm eyeing for next Thursday. I believe they have earnings for next Thursday. Now, this treated us really well last time in January earnings, where they literally gapped up, right? We made a killing on this, $94.
Sure did.
Like 130 and across 2 days, came back and filled the dip. So this might be interesting to look at if it dips more into, like, let's say under $100. I think it's time to just kind of start loading calls for $100 calls, just to play the earnings run up, and then of course take profit next week, and then hold a few for earnings.
Yeah, I like AMD too. I think it's an interesting name. It's a beat down. I thought it was going to come back earlier than this, so maybe it's finally time to get going. I know it's underpriced now. It's just a matter of how patient you are. So it's definitely a great stock right now. And here's a good question that I can imagine some people might want to ask. Have you used any new indicators or trading techniques recently? I know this is kind of random and off the cuff, but I figured maybe you could show us something.
Yeah. So if you're part of our community, you guys know I recently put out. I've actually done a lot of videos on this, and we mainly trade Qs and SPY. Actually, some of our other generals in our group, they place more SPY than Q, but I prefer to stick with Q because I'm proficient at. I understand the movements. So for me, I use basically several indicators, right? I have the EMA 915, I have the 3450, and I also use the EMA 21. And so what I'll do is I look at multiple time frames too. I like to look at 5 minute for scalping purposes. And I like to look at, overall trend. Of course, you got to use a 2 hour or 4 hour charts. And then, so I just, so those are my primary go-tos. In terms of like other oscillators that I use, I, typically MACD, RSI. But one of a couple of things that I've picked up recently is starting to use more stochastics as well. Stochastics is a wonderful way to look at when things are oversold and overbought. Okay. So for example, if you're looking at my screen here, if I'm just looking at the 5 minute chart, you can see that the Q started bottoming out here below the stochastics channel. Okay. So it started to dip here. Right. And then so whenever it kind of these stochastic lines starts entering this white area, you'll start to see that people will come in and buyers will start coming in. Sellers start piling in normally once the stochastics are above 90. Okay. So, but the thing is, the Q actually continued on this trend line or above 90 for quite some time, and then finally fell off, Here was a dip again. Okay. So you can use the stochastics as a kind of oversold, overbought indicator. It really helps you to know that, okay, should I be buying this dip or should I be selling this rip? Right. That's one of the things you got to understand. Same thing I've been using is a shaft trend cycle. Shaft trend cycle has two values, 75 and 25. When the line starts crossing below the 75, that's usually a short signal. And then when the line starts crossing above the 25 value, that's usually a long signal. Okay. So these two indicators really help a trader to understand when to enter. Of course, just know that when things are oversold, it tends to stay oversold for quite some time. But so you need a better indicator, and so that's the reason why you have a 25 value. When that 25 value actually crosses, then hey, it's a buy signal. So there you have it right here. This was getting oversold. The Q was earlier this afternoon. Now it propped up pretty good actually.
Very cool. Very cool. That's cool to see and cool to check out. If anyone has any questions about that, of course, hit us up in the trading channel. In our floor.
Yep.
Hey, I know one member requested today that, I figured we could do it. We could go over Tesla for them. We could look at the charts for Tesla and just discuss Tesla real quick.
Okay, I'm looking at the comments here. Androids unite. Okay.
There we go.
I like 300 puts. I like 300 puts too. DIE, CVNA. Yeah, Carvana. Can we talk about Carvana? All right. People are worried about the Carvana today because it moved with the market. Totally. I get it, right? So we still got a short position on Carvana. Excuse me. Once the market dumps tomorrow, we'll see Carvana be profitable. But I'm going to probably roll my call or puts out for a few more weeks, buy a little bit more time. But other than that, sorry, Tesla? You said Tesla?
Yeah. Yes.
Tesla just, let's see. Let's see where Tesla's at.
Yeah.
All right, 858 already. So it's so volume shelf or price by volume. I'm sorry, volume by price shelves are something every trader should be using. If you were wondering when to buy Tesla today, you can obviously see right around this area where you have started having volume come in. So this is really interesting. So I mean, hit 825, jumped up like nearly 75 points. Right in the intraday, you got a hammer, right? It's not a pretty one. It's a red hammer, okay, on the daily. So it moves with the market, right? Anything happens to SPY and Q, this one takes a direct hit. So I think in with everything that's going on for the next few days, I do think it's going to tank. I do think it's going to come back probably towards 800 and test this 825 mark again. You do have shelf here, all right? You do have some support here that you can use to scalp, but if it fails this let's say a 785 area, this is where it starts to bottom out, 760, etc. This is where buyers have been typically, jumping in on Tesla. But quite honestly, I mean, if you look at this, I'm going to pull up the weekly chart, see if I can draw a trend line here. This is a weekly. All right, so let's just say this.
I feel like I'm hearing one consistent thing here. I heard you say Tesla at 800. You think so? Is Rock an official bear right now? You think?
Yeah, I'm gonna be a bear going into tomorrow, at least for the time being, unless I see something drastically change. But you can see that Tesla has broken this trend line, the weekly trend line since November 2022 or 2020. So once it starts coming down here, you'll start to see buyers. I think people will try to go for the value play. But given the way that the market is right now, there's going to be that slight possibility it's going to test that 700 line.
Okay, awesome. Did you have any other stocks that you had in mind today before we get ready to move on?
Costco is always a fun scalp in the morning, so you always put that. Lately, I've been playing Costco, on the downside. So, we did like 3 successful scalps over the last 2 days with Costco. I buy the 530 puts weekly for 70, 80 cents, and it goes up 20 cents. Great, fantastic. That's a 25% gain. So we've been doing that. I got out of it when it started pumping, of course, this morning. But Costco is one that you can, just put it on your radar for regular fund scalps. Because Costco, once it loses the support around the 550 area, it's going to come back down towards the lower 500. Obviously, it's dependent on how the market moves. As far as other stocks, no, I mean, I don't have too many stuff on my radar. I try to keep everything light for me. We just go day by day.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's plenty of time to go until we get to next week. So, hey, I don't know if you wanted to make an announcement about something for, what was it, May 1st?
Yeah. So, so coming up in May will be our first anniversary since I started Patreon. I remember us starting Patreon and this community back in May 15th last year. So I'm going to do a 1-year anniversary for sale, I guess. I hate to discount because I don't think, discounting brings value and people don't understand the value, but I'll go ahead and discount it anyway. So for the month of May, instead of $79 regular price, monthly price, it's now $59.25, which is exactly 25% off. And you get 15% off annual as well. I think the number one thing that people need to understand, if you're going to come into our community, it's good to, obviously, we're here to make money, right? We're here to forecast the markets. We're here to make the best educated, based off charts, our understanding and where the market is going and to make the right plays. Don't come in just thinking this is just an alert platform, or you're here to just make easy money, or that I'm just some type of wizard, because I do get things wrong, obviously. So come in with the mentality that you want to learn. And so we provide daily update videos, we provide podcasts, we provide educational materials every single day. Not just that, of course, along with option play, swings, etc. So if you're going to come in, have the right mentality, and that's what we want in our community. I don't want any people coming in and just be like, "Where's the alerts? Where's the alerts?" Right? And especially if people are going to argue with me about price. I know a lot of rooms out there charge hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars per month. Ours is only $59.25 for the month of May, and you get to lock in that price as long as you're a member. And after May, it'll go back to $79. So good time. I would not recommend you signing up today, but just go ahead. If you'd like to join our community, look for spots will be open on May the 1st. That'll be Sunday?
Yeah. Yep, May the 1st, May Day. So, all right, I think that's pretty much about all we have today, at least on the podcast. Hope you enjoyed this condensed, podcast. A little bit shorter without the full panel. Everyone will hopefully be back for the next episode. Life happens, no worries. We move on. All right. Well, we will talk soon, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right, next week, guys. Thanks.